Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I am reacting to our Board Gamer video. Actually, it's my first react to one of his, I think. And it is covering the missile changes that were in the patch, which, you know, we can cover, and some of the new missile ships, and then obviously the Mark II drama, which I think maybe I'm responsible for, which is a bit weird, but you know, maybe he saw my thread on Spectrum that I made last week, and I made another one today because I'm going crazy. But point being, it'll be interesting to see what his take is, and then, you know, my opinion's also been a bit refined with time as it's gone on. So let's get into the video, and then I'm gonna go through the Spectrum thread I made today. And I'm gonna cook some dudes in the Salty Mike Reacts comments, so that'll be great.
Welcome to some more Star Citizen. We're all about drama today and issues with the game.
Hell yeah, brother.
With the recent missile and torpedo drama, we're going to be talking about that. Basically, torpedoes and missiles were going incredibly slow in the name of balance, and there's been some resolution to that now. We'll also be talking about the massively overpowered Hornet Mark II F7A, which is just the best medium dogfighter, and yeah, at the moment, it is just so overpowered. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about some of the big problems with Xenothreat.
Based, thank you. Yo, I need to look at the comments of this video.
3.3.1a PTU patch. So, recently, CIG made some updates to missiles on torpedoes in the 3.23.1a test build, the open PTU build of the game, and basically they increased missile lock, min-max ranges, they reduced missile speeds, and they balanced missile fuel tank amounts. The main issue here, and that's caused a lot of the problems, is the reduction of missile speeds in one of those 3.23.1a patches. So it's quite vague in the patch notes, but missile and torpedo speeds were made like 25% or 20% of their original speed. It's far too slow. It's ridiculously slow. You can just follow them round. Your ship is faster than that. And there were some threads, which I'll read out a couple of them. What the heck were you thinking with missile rework for PTU? Someone explain the train of thought to me on that one. And CIG responded to this thread. This was a temporary balancing state where we wanted to see certain issues that we've been observing, and if they were related to the speed of missiles and torpedoes. It's not something that was meant to be a permanent change. Speeds have been increased again for the next build, which is already now in. They will not be as they were before, but torpedoes will now be back up to 514 meters per second to 560 meters a second.
The thing about it too is missile gameplay was a heavy balancer to spooling nav. So you couldn't flare while in nav, therefore you were at risk of missiles hitting you, right? And that would force you to slow down. So it was kind of a really great mechanic to even out retreating. And added some legitimate strategy to missiles. So when they slow the missile speeds down incredibly so, the option to launch missiles at someone because they're spooling nav and planning their escape is out the window. So in that sense, I could agree. But the missile gameplay needs to grow. Like, it is very outdated, very binary, very simple. And I hope it improves. Like, I hope it gets even close to as cool as DCS without becoming DCS, right? But I got high hopes for the missiles gameplay in the future. I definitely want to see missiles and missile-based archetypes performing better in the game, change things up a bit. But yeah.
As of now, I'm sorry for the confusion it might have caused, but we now have a clearer picture of what needs fixing from our side. Missiles will get, like every other ship, item and weapon, a thorough rework for 4.0 to tie in with the resource network changes. Cheers! In a follow-up, they basically said they wanted smaller missiles to be going effectively faster, and the larger they get, the slower they move. However, having a torpedo behave like an intercontinental rocket seems a bit overkill. We aimed the speed to match the current SCM.
Just imagine, let's just imagine for a second. I was thinking about this like a couple months ago. What if when they do player bases, right, like base building, you actually can do IBMs, like intercontinental ballistic missiles. Like, you can launch your missiles to another base, the other side of the moon you're living on. Like, oh my god, that should be a thing. Like, it would be so cool. Make them like interceptable, you know, they could create a gameplay loop, but like, god, that would be cool. It's like, why don't we have those long-range, gigantic, ridiculous missiles? It feels like we have a lot of everything. I know it's hopium, but it's just a cool idea, I think.
And boost speeds of the targeted ships they should be for, like the size 9 torpedo should be most effective against capital ships. The goal here is to fulfill the fantasy of classical torpedo gameplay. There is still some work.
Like the scene from Top Gun where they're escorting the cruise missiles, like the cruise missiles are going past the jets and they're going to intercept at the same time. Like, oh my lordy, the coolest thing ever.
To be done, especially for signatures of missiles and torpedoes to allow a stealth approach where you do not see the torpedo the moment it was fired. CIG also went on to say, the PTU is a crucial part of our development cycle where we test features and mechanics, sometimes pushing them to extreme values for testing purposes. Even in the live build, nothing is final and your feedback is always valued. Please read our patch notes and share your thoughts on features and changes if you think they're not beneficial to the game after you've tested them in-game. Our goal is to improve Star Citizen with all of you, not to point fingers or engage in insults as we've seen earlier today. Thank you for your patience and passion for Star Citizen 07, which is a salute, little salutey boy. I'm glad that CIG cleared that up. It obviously had caused some unwanted confusion and a lot of sort of what the hell is CIG thinking sentiment, and that people did get quite heated. Some people were being relatively insulting or angry in the Spectrum forums. But yeah, they've since cleared that issue up in the latest build, I believe, of 3.23.1a. And I suppose the issue was that CIG could have mentioned in the patch notes that they were testing or the temporary nature of those missile and torp changes. It's going, look, we know they're super slow, bear with us. And it wouldn't have caused as much confusion because they basically just went, this is a balance change. So people were like, your balance is going in the wrong direction. But I suppose it is in PTU for a reason as well. I do feel that some of these issues are actually relatively minor compared to the problems we've had with CIG and Star Citizen in the past, and stuff like this, yeah, just a little tiny bit of extra messaging would have sorted this out much quicker, wouldn't have caused any concern, but again, relatively minor as things go. Something else to mention is there are some issues with 3.23.1a at the moment with Xenothreat, so some players are just having entirely inactive NPCs, so they're like the Idris isn't moving, there's like desyncy problems or just NPCs just not moving problems, though, again, that...
This is the thing too, like, they're tying the Xenothreat to a ship sale, and it's just like, how much is that slowing the factory line? Like, why, if we're so close to 4.0 Pyro server meshing, why are we slowing down and going through all these dev resources to get the Xenothreat out the door? You know, like, which is going to last a week, 2 weeks? Am I the only one, like, confused about that? Is it just, like, I definitely get the sentiment lately. And I don't just say this, like, I'm not trying to be a drama queen about it or anything, but, like, maybe it just is about ship sales. Maybe that's all they care about right now. I don't know.
Could be because something that CIG are testing, debugging, or trying to work out. Some of the debugging stuff that they run does cause some major server and NPC / AI issues and desyncy issues, so bear that in mind. I'm hoping that a 3.23.1a build will be deployed to live early next week, and I would expect Xenothreat to be running on that live build probably by the end of the week, patch gods willing. But it is going to be dependent on whether they solve issues with Xenothreat and that patch. Now, something else I wanted to talk about is the Hornet Mark II drama, the overpowered nature of this ship currently. So lots of people have F7A Mark IIs now because basically they bought a F7C Mark II. And
so and people like grilled me about this in the comments sections. Like, I just called that the upgraded Hornet, right? Because it's a new upgraded version of the Hornet, and then you apply the upgrade that you do from the missions. So it's like an upgraded upgrade, right? Like, and I get roasted alive for calling it that, but whatever.
And then the Overdrive quest reward for completing the phase 1 to 5 of the Overdrive initiative is to get an upgrade that you can then apply to that ship to make it into an F7A Mark II, or at least you can rent one for like 7 days or whatever, right? So a load of people got these ships at the moment. The ship has a ridiculous amount of firepower for its size and role. So it's got 2 size 4 weapons on its wings and 4 size 3s across the rest of the ship. So 2 on the top turret and 2 on the nose, or at least hard points for all of this. It's a lot of gun. It's a huge amount of gun. Even the standard F7C Mark II has the hard points so that you could potentially upgrade it to a similar loadout and a similar amount of firepower. Now, part of this drama is that ship is also incredibly agile. Now, that is a bug though. The agility, very much a bug. We know that that's the case because CIG have said, yes, it's got bug numbers. They sort of doubled the values of that. It is making that extremely agile. That's getting fixed. We know that. So it'll be back in line with ships of its sort of size and class. The concern by some in the community, though, is that CIG have bugs like this and leave them in during a sale period when they're selling those ships to help them sell. And there's no point in fixing them because they're helping salespeople saying this is a super overpowered ship.
Yeah, I'm not so much in the camp of, do I think this is like malicious sales pitches? Like, no. I think they genuinely did bug this thing. But I do think that there was pressure to make this thing perform better because they were selling it. And they went overboard with trying to make it appeasing stat-wise. Probably because I think someone, and I haven't even watched the video, but I think Avenger made a video about it sucking, which it does not suck, okay? Like, even if you take this thing, the strafes bug away from it and return it to its original stats, it's still the best ship in the game, guys. Like, and I want to clarify this. Is the Buccaneer good? Yes. Is the Buccaneer overpowered? Yes. Okay, but it's a different shape. A Buccaneer is going to do hit and runs. It cannot duel. Okay, you are not taking 1v1s in a Buccaneer. It's a great ship to play with your group. Yeah, but in a 10v10, okay, and I will take any group to school on this. Okay, any 10 guys in $10 would lose to 10 Hornets because you will get destroyed before you even complete a pass. So everyone that's in the comments, I'm going to roast them when I go through the comments here in this video, but, you know, you've been misled. The Buccaneers has some great strengths about it, and is a little overpowered in the interceptor aspects where it can do hit and runs. It's got a lot of escapability, a lot of speed, a lot of survival, but the sheer damage that comes out of the Hornets and their ability to hold their ground is ridiculous. Yeah, like you don't even know you're dead until it's too late. What does the Buccaneer die to the most? It's these Hornets. Yeah, and I'm just telling you, like, it's 100% the case, guys. This ship is so strong, regardless, and it's got to do with the hull of some ships. It's got to do with the cannon meta right now, the extremely fast-paced cannons, the fact that you can destroy a ship without ever needing to be powered to weapons, meaning you never had to reload a single bullet. You've got enough to wipe out ships completely. The fact that you can kill the entire light fighter archetype in 3 hits, so 3 volleys. You've still got 3 in the chamber and you haven't even needed to reload, right? So it's still 3 in the magazine, but it's still so strong. Now, do I want this thing to get fixed? Yeah, I do. Like, I want the agility to get fixed, but it's still a wider issue, you know, and majority of my complaint is just the fact that this thing needs to not have the agility it does, because then the game immediately becomes more playable. But it's still an offender at the very top, right? Like, it's still number 1, followed by the Buccaneer at number 2. But, you know, I very much think we at least need to get this bug hot fixed, and I'll explain why.
And it's going to help you win Xenothreat and something to definitely buy, yeah? Just be aware, all this sort of stuff does get balanced and fixed, and they are going to balance this ship to a degree. Now, even when it's fixed agility-wise, it should still be reasonably fast and agile. It is basically a more agile version of the Hornet Mark I. So the ship is also very, very tanky. It has a lot of effective health. It's not as much as like a F8C. I think it's sort of like about half the overall effective health of one. It's got a lot of hull health, and it's all available in single-seater is the other thing with the ship. So it's just an incredibly powerful medium fighter. The problem here as well is that how is CIG going to actually balance this beast? It's a ship that a lot of people have or will have or can access. I assume, though this isn't confirmed, that they're going to be running the Overdrive Initiative event again with the reward of the F7A, or you'll be able to get an F7A in-game, the Mark II, in some way. Yeah, very, very much, I think that's what they're going to be doing. That's my expectation, because that's the sort of thing that little mini events that they'll want to run with, like golden tickets for the F8 again, and running the sort of Overdrive Initiative again, where people want to play because they want to get these upgrades.
Yeah, so like, okay, well, what's the answer to this thing? It's either you're going to dial back the Hornet series because the other Hornets are still problematic. They might not have as much damage, but they got close. So you're either going to have to dial back the Hornet damage, which in my opinion is a better idea, or start buffing the other archetypes that are getting shredded by this thing. So it's like you're either buffing the entire pool around this or bringing the Hornet into submission. You know, and the problem is, and like the proposition I put forward was, why don't we take away some of its damage but make this thing agile? That way the people that bought these ships, and I think the F8 Anvil F8 Lightning is a similar offender in this case and fits the description of what I'm trying to propose, is if we slow down their damage, right, dial their damage a bit back, then they don't have to fly like vanguards anymore, and they can be more fun. So we can be more excited about these ships anyways. Because the problem is, and like I put in my last video, that if they've been promised to have all these hard points and all this damage output, then CIG are forced to make them very slow, which makes them unappealing, you know, not as fun. Because, yeah, they pack a punch, but they're slow boats. You know, and I don't think anyone wants that. And I think just the game's better off, you know, other archetypes make more sense. Time to kill is reasonable again. Because, guys, the plan wasn't for time to kill to last 3 seconds, and that's where we're at right now. Like, you can kill an entire archetype in 3 seconds, you know, and that's not even a snub, that's a light fighter, like, trying to be agile, 3 seconds. So we have an issue whether we like, if people are willing to admit it or not. And I understand the passion that people have. It's advertised as military. I don't think that should pigeonhole the entire PvP meta into just military-based ships. Whether we have to have PvP versus PvE modifiers to make people happy, like a ship does so much damage in PvP, a ship doesn't do as much in PvE, I don't know. But this thing is too powerful when it comes to offense. And the problem is we don't want to see medium fighters or great new fighters advertised as being these premier ships being forced to be slow and sluggish. So I just think everyone wins if we take a little bit of damage away and we make these ships way more enjoyable to fly. Yeah, because that's the problem too, is that they're very stale. Like if you're in a Hornet and you're trying to dogfight against something that's applying pressure like a light fighter, your only bet is to backstrafe. So the flight aspect of medium fighters is really lacking competitively in PvP, I want to be clear. So I just think that there's like a way to kill two birds with one stone with this. It can also be more fun and brought into balance at the same time. That's what I'm hopeful of, but you know, if that isn't an option, then you have to buff the light fighters, because a Gladius getting killed in 3 seconds is just not going to cut it. And that damage, even if they nerf cannons and it's laser repeaters, it's still going to scale. Hull versus damage is still going to scale. So no matter what, it's going to take a light fighter, you know, 30 seconds of uptime to kill a Hornet, and it's going to take the Hornet 3 seconds of uptime, or at that time is going to scale to whatever these weapon changes are. So that's why it's the issue is the ratio of it. Yeah. But I just want to make it very clear. The Hornet is way better than the Buck. Does the Buck survive more? Yes. But man, I do not think I would not put it above the Buck.
It's just so much better than most other fighters in most areas. The definition of overpowered, really. Now, I suspect it will get tweaked and balanced a little, but I am concerned it will still be very much a constant meta ship. Now, they could make it burn a lot of like fuel, power, have really high emissions, things like that might actually help push it into the role of a short-range space superiority fighter. I mean, CIG can obviously also tweak the flight model numbers, change the weapons and that sort of thing, but I don't think they will so much. I mean, yeah, flight model numbers and stuff, yeah, they're obviously going to a bit, and we have some big changes with Alpha 4.0 and engineering coming in, the resource networks. From looking at it, though, I think that CIG have made a rod for their own back with something that is very clearly just supposed to be better than a lot of other stuff. And I hope they balance this in an appropriate way, making it a bit less OP. And yeah, maybe they tweak it so it's really good at short-range space superiority and sort of dogfighting in these circumstances, but it's not going to be just the best meta ship for dogfighting in general. Let's hope for that.
And the problem is so many people want this. Like, everybody wants, and I understand it. I think, I've been trying to understand this the last week, like, where these people are coming from. When they say, it's a military ship, it's got to be far more better than the rest. It's the entire purpose. I think they're talking about it from a PvE's perspective, but I don't understand that argument when you're talking about one alpha class of ship that just beats all the other classes. And because you did 6 missions, which were extremely easy, majority of the community did it. That's it. That's combat. You know, you get that ship and then you're done. Like, is that the future of the game? Like, so I think this thing needs to be brought into balance. Maybe if the PvE players want to accumulate power, it's more about the ship components than the ship itself. And then you know, something like that. But I don't understand that argument, guys, why people want, you know, super rare ships to be extremely overpowered because they've got the military tag. Explain that to me, guys, if you can, in the chat.
And I'm really interested to know what you are expecting from CIG for the sort of balance of that ship. And you're like, well, actually, it's far too early to talk about balance, really. Let's wait until 4.0, then they can start to be looking at balance a lot more when more of the game and the resource network and stuff has come online and they've refined.
No, let's not. All right, so I want to go through the comments, yeah? Let's just go through the comments real quick. Hypersonic missiles exist. That's the missile debate. Hope they don't go down the balancing nerf spiral that ends in pure madness. I've seen a lot of games who shoot themselves with nerfing stuff down to a tin can. And that's the problem, like, right here, yeah? Is that I don't want this ship, the nerf, to be as brutal. You can buff it and nerf it at the same time. And that's why I think you tick both boxes when you bring its damage in the line and you buff its flight. Like, make this thing more fun to fly, for sure. This ship is OP. Avenger 1, this ship is trash. Yeah, like, this ship is so strong. So, it was strong before the bug, and it was the strongest before the bug. And, yeah, the buck doesn't hold a candle to it. The buck will survive. It is nowhere near as good as the Hornet, guys. It just ain't the truth. Sorry. Every time I turn around, it's some new drama that everyone's freaking out about. For me, like, I don't care about the whole pay to win argument. I just want master modes back. Like, that is the core issue that I have. I just want master modes to exist again, because it doesn't. At the moment, it's Dance Dance Revolution, shoot at the pip, and try to fly left and right with your Mark II. Like, it's horrible. Like, master modes is on pause with PvP until this gets fixed. We can't test it. You can't look at the other archetypes. You cannot play the game. You have to wiggle. You are hostage to it. You can't go into Arena Commander and anything but a Hornet, or you're going to die. And if you're not in a Hornet, you have to be in a Buccaneer, and you have to just be running away from Hornets the entire time. So, the missions, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is great. Anyways, so I made a thread about this on stream. If anyone's been watching my stream, I've been, how do I put this? Extremely frustrated and raging almost every stream on Twitch because of this thing. So I made a thread, and I got our guys in Discord. to support it if they agreed. Okay, I want to make that clear. Yeah, only if they agreed. But the point being, why is there still no hotfix in the upcoming patch? That's the core of my issue, right? Is like, why isn't this thing getting fixed without any sense of urgency? Like, if master modes is this important and our feedback is this important, why are we letting a bug run rampant for this long, compromising the testing and just, ruining all of our patience? I think this thing needs to get fixed with some urgency so that we can all go back to playing master modes instead of this when it comes to PvP. Because PvP, master modes testing, it's all ruined by this. Like, going into arena commander is unbearable right now. And that's why I made the thread. Anyways, you can see a bunch of support for it. Like, people are signing it. I'll link it in the comments. It's not a big deal. I just hope the only thing I wanted to achieve with this thread was just hoping that they would understand the frustration with the PvP community, because none of the PvP, these people don't post on Spectrum because they've given up on it, right? But a lot of people are really tired of it and just want to go back to playing master modes the way it was supposed to be made, and the way Yoga and all that intended for it to be played, rather than the gimmicky PvP we've got now that is just worse than anything we've had. So I'll put the thread in the description. Now, lastly, I wanted to go to Salty Mike's comments, okay, and Cook. All right, now, who are we looking for? Look at this. Let's see. How about leaving the F7A alone and bringing the other ships up to be competitive? Like, what's the point? What's the point in doing all this work if you can... And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not about nerfing every offender, right? I definitely think why a ship is fun should be captured in the decision of buffing and nerfing things. I've seen some great ships get nerfed into oblivion and they weren't fun. But there's nothing fun about the F7A being as strong as it is, which is why I think inevitably it needs to be nerfed, or there's going to need to be a ton of work around buffing everything else. What else is there here? To be honest, I don't think the F7A Mark II is all that overpowered. Yeah, sure, the thrust is bugged right now, needs to be fixed, but the capacitor for those weapons is small. Here's the problem, Wallace Engineering, is that the capacitor being this small it's actually huge. Considering it only takes 3 volleys when the magazine size is like 6 to 7, depending on what cannon you're using, it takes half a magazine and 3 seconds worth of damage to kill an entire archetype class. So I'm talking like 7 to 8 different ships get killed with half a magazine in 3 seconds. You haven't even gotten halfway through your capacitor at that point. Like, meaning you could be powder shields, no powder weapons at all, not a concern at all for your weapons. Get halfway through your magazine before you even started to interact with your capacitor, the target's already dead. So bringing up the capacitor is pointless. Absolutely pointless if there's not even a single need to reload the gun, like, and use your capacitor. I could not make a single capacitor change and still kill a target in 3 seconds. So I just don't. That's why I'm not big on the capacitor argument. What else is there? Him talking about how it's equivalent to having this ship on the nose and this ship on the wings is nonsense. If you fill it with the laser repeaters, you might get maybe 20 shots per gun because of the capacitor. Again, guys, the capacitor's redundant if it has enough damage output to kill multiple ships before it even runs out of ammunition, right? Like, before it even needs to, before you need to even press a single button on the capacitor, if you can kill 1 or 2 ships, and I'm talking back to back, then the capacitor argument doesn't fit in this, and that's why. Again, here's one. The F7A is awesome, but it's not even the strongest ship. A buck can take one of these with ease these days, unless the pilot is really bad. People just love complaining about everything. Brother, you could not be further from the truth. The F7A upgraded is going to kill the buck before it completes a pass. If the Buccaneer flies anywhere towards the Hornet, it's dead before it can even decide to leave. So you've watched someone's video, You've done something, but this comment is just wrong in so many ways. The buck doesn't stand a single chance. No way. What? Here we go. What else is there? There was one other comment. Virgil's a funny guy. Starts with I have something to say that other content creators can't because my understanding of the game is so much better. It's not even that. Like, it wasn't supposed to be an egotistical comment at the beginning of my video. It was just supposed to be me talking about the fact that a lot of content creators don't cover the heartbeat of PvP and the meta and the constant changes to ships as they get changed. Like, it wasn't supposed to be an ego thing. I was just trying to stand by my words. I was confident in my argument. I still am. And I was just talking, like, a lot of the content creators cover news and theory and stuff like that. And this was specifically about values on an XML spreadsheet when it came to the game. So I misunderstood me, but that's okay. What else was there? There was one other comment that was really great. Reduce all the weapon sizes by 1. Yeah, that could work. A lot of different ways to do this. Its health is actually lower than the new Saber, the O Saber, and the Cuddy, or the Hornet Mark 1s, and the Vulture, not cutting them. Yeah, but the problem is, a ship's defense isn't just its hull points, right? Like, the Saber could have way more hull points, but because it's a giant flying pancake, aka like a target, it's irrelevant how much hull points is if it's soaking so much damage and everybody's like cannons, for example, laser repeaters, all the lasers are hitting the target. So the shape of the ship is extremely important too. Why does Avenger 1 say they're crap? Just because it's bugged. Like, it was bugged, I think, after he made the video. And also the meta hadn't really settled. It's still like the best ship by far. Sorry. NFT thought I had this thought the other day to myself. Yeah, we're flying NFTs. Where's the post? Yo, I think maybe it was deleted. No, here we go. Okay, here. There's so many wrong takes in this video, it's laughable. It makes me feel like it's a rage bait click me video. A little bit. Which, yeah, I get a part of YouTube, but when the community takes it as gospel, it creates a huge echo chamber of incorrect info. Number 1, the F7A Mark II is the king of even AC. Interceptor-tuned ships are as they can zoom and boom and pick and choose fights, with the Bucky being the best because of its superior firepower compared to the other interceptor-tuned ships. Okay, the Buck is strong. It does not stand a chance against the Hornet. Okay, if you go into Arena Commander and you play with the competitive players or anyone in general, there is maybe a couple bucks and it's maybe 70% minimum of Hornets. So this is just wrong. Like, are you going to survive more in a buck because you have the high speeds? Yes, but you're not going to accomplish nearly as much. You'll be halfway up the scoreboard with 0 deaths, while the Hornet will have 20 kills. So, yeah, like, this wrong. The Hornet doesn't have 3 ships strapped to it because of capacitor limitations. I've already explained this to you guys. Capacitors are redundant. If you can kill a target in 3 volleys, you aren't even halfway through your magazine size at that point. So, you know, the default magazine size. So if you're no powder weapons, your magazine ammunition is cut in half. If it only takes a quarter of your magazine to kill a target, using the capacitor in this debate is pointless. So, like, this is wrong again. The maneuverability bug in account, good PvPers use pitch and yaw as their aiming adjusting technique due to how many more responsive and accurate. Wrong, like, completely. If you're not aiming with strafes, then you're behind and you gotta, like, the game, you have to aim with your left stick and your strafes. Yes, you use pitch and yaw, but you support your pitch and yaw with using strafes to aim. So, like, again, wrong. 2 is 1 and 1 is none is the motto of the current state of MM. Everybody complained before the crack. Solo pilots could solo everybody, so they changed it to be almost a guarantee if you die. If you're outnumbered due to how speed and maneuverability work in MM, you go in the time is split off, more coordinated group will pick you apart. Focusing fire is also a huge difference in squad fights. Yeah, I agree. In Hornets, it's incredibly strong. 5, people still fly incorrectly. I've seen it firsthand in AC Gladius pilots joust me in larger ships and wonder why they get blown up instantly. That's the light fighter class being poor. If you're a light fighter, more maneuverable ship, you don't fight larger ships nose to nose. You get around them and hit them. You can't get around the Hornets. Like, you can't get around something that has 22 Gs on demand. Like, This is impossible. What you're describing is not possible with the bug, and it's barely possible without the bug. Yeah, like, and that's shortcomings of the light fighter, but just like incorrect. So Eagle Eye, congrats, you made it on my video. But there you go. Yeah. So in summary, how do I feel about this? I think the Hornet needs long-term balance changes eventually, because it is going to be an outlier in the damage department. If you want to bring a ship that is capable in many categories, but most importantly has the most damage output when it comes to that balancing, then you bring the Hornet. Yeah. Second to that, if you want that, is the Anvil F8, but the Anvil F8 is far more slow and sluggish in comparison, which is why I just want to see both of those ships become really great flight ships where they're fun to fly, they're agile, and just maybe dial down their DPS a little bit. Yeah. What else in summary? The missiles, the missile speeds and stuff. I think is a good mechanic right now to balance the nav stuff. I'm fine with that. And yeah, I hope that the Hornet gets fixed as soon as possible so we can all return to PvPing the way Master Modes was intended. Yeah. So there's my rant again. I'm doubling down. I appreciate you all. Give me a 1, 2, 3 in the comments. Let me know what the heck you guys think, okay? Like, am I off base, or is are these guys that are just cooking me? You know, like, where are they at with all of this? Who's right, who's wrong? Tell me. Alrighty, boys. Chris bless. GG's, and I'll catch you later. Peace.